for your advice, which I value greatly, and your inputs. From a Reliance Group perspective, the Reliance Infra shareholder base of over 11 lakhs is the base that is closest to my heart. This was the first company in which I became chairman in 2003, when it was called BSES, then transformed it to Reliance Energy, now transformed into Reliance Infrastructure. So the journey has been very rewarding, full of learning, and learning about new businesses which I didn't know anything about. I think that what we have done in the last 10 to 15 years in Reliance Infrastructure is going to be completely transformed, and you are going to see a completely new Reliance Infrastructure in the next 3 to 5 years. And I hope, and I am confident, that I will receive the support of each one of you in this journey of the transformation of Reliance Infrastructure. I will come to the specific aspects of this transformation, but before that I will answer some of the queries and questions made by shareholders. Shailesh Bhai mentioned about the need for a social impact report. We greatly value that, considering the amount of work we do. You will have an independent and fair report from next year on a social impact report, not only for Reliance Infra, but for the entire group. So if you are a group shareholder, you will see that across all companies. Two, you mentioned about employee surveys and employee satisfaction. This is something that we publish and that we do every year. And if you see our website, you will see those survey results. You asked me a view on the development of the bond markets and its impact. We think that the bond markets are going to get deeper and wider, and it is going to be aimed at more retail, and at the end of the day there will be a transmission of rates, maturities, products, services out there in the capital markets, where investors at large will have a choice to move away from fixed deposits to other instruments by choice. You made a very impactful point on the dividend policy, and it is mandatory now under the listing guidelines for all companies to have a dividend policy. But more importantly, you mentioned about the dimension, about what do you do with retained earnings? How is that being used? Is it being used for growth capital? Is it being used to pay down debt? What is it that we are doing? And I think we will consider that in our dividend policy, which will be published from next year. Every one of you who has been on the Mumbai Metro speaks for itself in terms of quality, reliability, and safety. Convenience is an important aspect, but not at the cost of safety, not at the cost of quality. I think that what we've achieved of building a metro system in a living city of Mumbai is pretty much a record. I have to thank our EPC team, and I have to thank our leadership team at the Mumbai Metro, headed by Abhay Mishra, who is here, for the outstanding job that he and his team are doing at Mumbai Metro. And in 786 days of operations, 200 million people experienced the Mumbai Metro. So I think that it is a record, and it is an excellent suggestion, and sometimes shareholders guide us and read our minds. Considering our expertise and experience of Mumbai, clearly we are looking at a large number of metro systems in Mumbai, in Cochin, in Lucknow, in Nagpur, in other parts of the world to be an O&M operator. So if we can run a world-class system in Mumbai, there is no reason for us not to go and create this world-class experience in other cities. And this will be a new business for us. It will be a revenue stream. It has no capital intensity, but it has got intellectual capital. It has got knowledge. It has got experience. It has got best practices. And that is what we will bring to the table in terms of trying to develop this area. I was asked about the defense business and the capital intensity of it. Let me cover that as I talk about our defense business. And I was also asked about partnerships in defense, and I'll cover that in defense. Question was asked on what valuations we achieved on the sale of our cement business. There were clearly premium valuations. They're published. We've reported to the stock exchange, and it is there for everybody to see. I think it is part of our focused strategy of future growth, that the pillars of growth will be the EPC business, the O&M business, the business of our power business, which we have, which is generation, transmission, distribution, and the defense business. So those will be the four pillars of growth which will lead the transformation of Reliance Infrastructure into a very, very different company in the coming years to come. Let me cover, since I've answered all the queries from shareholders, let me talk a little about the defense business. This is a business that is new to the private sector. This is a business that has been liberalized and opened up only in 2014, when Prime Minister Modi took charge of the country. With his policies of Make in India, of Skill India, of a Digital India, of a Swachh Bharat India, and his policies of embracing technology, the liberal foreign direct investment regime that we've got in defense. These are the key drivers for private sector participation in defense. So it's a new sector. We are all toddlers and babies in this business. So we are in the business of learning. So if you asked me a year ago about defense businesses, I would know nothing. Today I know something, but I'm still in the learning process. And we ultimately depend on the intellectual capital of people who have served us in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, like Admiral Mali and so many other people who have joined Reliance Defense in pushing forward with our defense vision. I think that India is one of the largest importers of defense equipment in the world, and that has to change. I think that the opportunity is so large that whether it is 5 lakh crores or 10 lakh crores, it is meaningless to rattle out any of those numbers. I think that our effort and our vision really is something that I believe would have made my father very, very proud. We're looking at an integrated play in the defense sector, a play across all the verticals of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. To play the naval sector, the only way you can do that is if you own a shipyard. And that's the first thing that we did last year. To show our seriousness, to show our commitment, we acquired control of Pipavav Defence, which is now renamed as Reliance Defence and Engineering Limited. And that will be the center of excellence as far as we are concerned for everything to do with the naval opportunities. There are only two companies in India, one being Reliance Defence, that has now been approved by the Ministry of Defence, accepted by the Indian Navy, to build warships, to build submarines, to refit existing warships and existing submarines. We've had the Germans, the Russians, the French all come and survey the Pipavav yard, and all of them have certified it as a world-class yard, and all of them have expressed their desire and have actually signed MOUs with us to come and work with us in India and transfer technology, train our people, and of course also provide capital. So capital is the least constraint in the defense sector. It is not as capital intensive as most people think. Capital is provided by the customer, in this case the Ministry of Defence. There are stage payments. So it is a medium to light capital intensive business. It is not like building 4,000 megawatts at Sasan, which cost us 30,000 crores. I don't think we can spend 30,000 crores in the next 30 years in the defense sector. I don't think that that's going to be there. So that is as far as the naval side is concerned, and only recently, and shortly I should say, we would be signing a contract with the Indian Coast Guard for the first defense order from them to a private sector company for 14 fast patrol vessels at a cost of about 1,000 crores. The Navy has recently sent 3 of their ships for refits to Pipavav, so we are now getting into the know of what is going on in the sector. And we have bids out there and shortly tenders to be open for projects on the naval side for a value of over 10,000 crores. So we are deeply engaged, we are deeply involved, and we are deeply committed to the defense sector. The Government of India is pursuing several initiatives to promote Make in India, to see that Indian private sector participates in the defense sector. I'll just give you an example. There are 5 public sector shipyards which are owned by the Ministry of Defence. They have 200,000 crores worth of orders. On an average, they're running 10 years late on all programs. So now, the opportunity is there for the private sector to come in and work with the public sector, work with the government to strengthen their arms, to expedite deliveries, to learn and to produce quality and at competitive costs. So I'm just speaking about the scale of the opportunity that is in front of us. I think that while we are pursuing several opportunities in India on the naval side, we are also pursuing foreign military sales, which is effectively selling defense naval equipment to other governments, other countries outside India, and our teams are engaged in multiple opportunities which we hope we will realize over the next few years. I think that the Government of India is pursuing a program called Strategic Partnerships in the private sector. It's a program that we endorse, and we are one amongst the 2 that would qualify for a submarine program. It is an order for 6 submarines with a value of over 60,000 crores. So I think that we take great pride that we will be able to transform Pipavav Defence, now Reliance Defence, into a world-class naval facility, both for warships and submarines, and I hope we will make India self-sufficient and very, very proud. We have similar initiatives on the land system sides, which is the Army side, and we also have on the aerospace side. I want to make a mention, since I was asked by one of the shareholders about working with Israel. We've signed 2 joint ventures with Israel. One is with a company called Rafael, which is one of the largest and world leaders in missile technology, and we will be making missiles in India for the armed forces. The second one is a joint venture with a leading company in Israel called Elbit. This focuses on homeland security and border management. For example, if we had a world-class border management infrastructure, we could have avoided, at one level at least, an attack on Pathankot. At another level, we could have prevented or early warned or restricted an attack on Uri. I think that these are again game-changing events. These are adoption of world-class practices, which includes thermal imaging, night vision, and bring the best technology and practices to bear. We've recently bid for a tender for the Border Security Force for creating fencing and to bring world-class practices. So this is a deep defense ocean, and we are just learning to fish, in spite of the fact that I'm still a vegetarian. So I'm just learning to fish. I think that clearly I spoke about the 4 legs that we look at the future, and in order to be very, very focused and clear, we are effectively figuring out what is non-core to us. So we believe cement was non-core. We sold it at a premium valuation and realized and paid down debt. We believe that we have developed the largest road portfolio. Now there are options, as you may have seen, that we have applied for an investment trust to SEBI. A AGM notice has been sent to all shareholders to get their shareholders' approval. And these are world practices of monetization. And this is how infrastructure companies do it all over the world. In the past, Indian companies would have to go to Singapore or London to do a trust. And we kept on telling the government, why can't you create the same regulation in India? We don't want to go to Singapore, we don't want to go to London, provided we have the same infrastructure in India and the same investment regime in India. Now, the government is aligned all laws, all rules, all regulations to be on par with whatever is there in the world, and that is why it gives us an opportunity to consider an investment trust, and this is fantastic news for investors because they can get a diversified portfolio, tax-free rates of return, and high yields coming out from the investment trust. So that is what we are looking at in terms of our roads business. Lalit in his presentation spoke about a minority stake sale in our power distribution business. All valuations are done independently, all valuations are done fairly, all valuations are done in terms of what is the real market, and we will not, and we have never ever compromised on shareholders' interest, and we will not do that. So we hope that the roads business and the Mumbai distribution business will further bring focus to our 4 legs and the 4 pillars that I described. Also, as some of you may be aware, that India, after more than 60 years, has changed its arbitration laws. So if I start counting the changes that we have seen in the last 2.5 years, done by Prime Minister Modi and this government, they are simply mind-boggling. There was not a single reason to change the arbitration law, but all the arbitration laws have been changed, and they are now on par with global arbitration standards. We have now 14,000 crores worth of arbitration at very advanced stages, and hopefully, if we win them, there is now a government diktat that any order that is won and is against a PSU or a government undertaking, they have to pay you 75%. They can keep fighting it legally. We have no problems with that. We will secure them with a bank guarantee, but it will bring in the liquidity into the system, into the company, to reduce debt, to reduce NPAs of banks, to give liquidity, and to reduce our overall costs. So I think that we expect that based on all these initiatives, and Lalit said this in his presentation, my clear vision is we are moving towards making Reliance Infra debt-free at a standalone level. That is a journey, that is a transformation that nobody's ever attempted in India. Thank you so much. As required, the company has provided e-voting facilities to all the members of the company from September 24, 2016 to September 26, 2016. The voting rights of the members are in proportion to the number of shares held by them as on the date cut-off being September 20. The voting through physical ballot has also been made available to the members who attend the AGM and who have not already cast their votes by e-voting. The Board of